There's a notion that the appeal to authority in the 21st century is absolutely incredible. We are a generation who has more access to more information than any people in any human civilization since the beginning of time that I'm aware of. I don't know if the city of Atlantis is real. I don't know if other civilizations had greater access to information. In recorded history that I can find, we have more access to more information than any peoples ever in the history of the world. And yet, we are content, because of the saturation of information, we are content to outsource our reasoning and our comprehension to experts. Appeals to authority. And here's one. Supreme Court Justice in a court proceeding. Now, it was their nomination. You don't want to ruffle feathers. You know you're stepping into a political quagmire. You know that this is going to be this is going to be used against you politically. Can you tell us what a woman is? Supreme Court nominee Brown. And she says, no, I cannot, because I'm not a biologist. Now, again, it was a political answer. But it's an answer that's incoherent. Not only is it a political answer meant to obscure instead of illuminate truth, it's a bad answer. Because we are dealing with epistemological decay in this country. And when you go through epistemological decay of individual free thinkers, you get drones and hive minds because you appeal to the experts. Well, the experts are going to do whatever they can to remain experts. It's human nature. They're going to lie, cheat, steal, and murder in order for them to remain experts because, face it, we all like power. We all want it. Most of us do. And so if I can tell a lie, but I'm the expert and I'm believed, here's the epistemological issue that we're dealing with. I'm not a biologist. So the proposition being given is only biologists can determine what a woman is. How does a biologist know what a woman is? What qualifications do biologists have that I don't have that allow them to come to conclusions to determine what a woman is? And how can I not know what a woman is unless I believe what a biologist tells me that a woman is? Because a biology has what? What is it about a biologist that allows them to dictate to another person what a woman is? Have biologists always been around? So a biologist is a scientist of sorts who has studied the human form, has studied it on a biological, physiological, and chemical level, and is using science and reason to come to conclusions that this thing is real or this thing is not real. That this is a woman or this is not a woman. Using epistemology. How then does a biologist know that they're correct? What foundations do biologists have to have? What methodology do biologists use to make such determinations? And If I have the same information that they have, and I can use the same logical processes because I have a conscious sentient mind, and I can make observational analyses. And so I can make observational analyses. I can have the exact same clues that they have. I can use the exact same logic and reason that they come to. Why can I not come to the same conclusion on my own? Why do I need a biologist to tell me what a woman is? Why do I need them to give me the okay and say, oh, I have this piece of paper that says that I'm certified, and my certification means that I know more than you? What makes you think a biologist knows more than you? Who's making that determination? That's a generalization. It's a hasty generalization that a biologist knows more about the human body than another person. Because I don't have that piece of paper. Because I don't have that peer qualification. So how do we know who knows what's going on? Well, here's how we know. You take a piece of paper, or you take a audio like this, and you lay out your proposition, your premise, with your evidences and your conclusion, and you let the rules of logic and reason and linguistics determine whether you actually know what you say you know. Because you have a title or qualification, biologist, does not mean that you understand the human body. Who said that? Says who? Says who? Why do you think that you get to make the determination over someone else and get to determine what a woman is? Especially if a person is a woman. They have firsthand experience, right? Now, that's one indication. That doesn't mean, however, that a woman knows exactly what a woman is. So how do we know that we know something? What? How do you know that what you know about something is one worth knowing and is the truth and is actual knowledge about the fact? Are there doctors who falsify information? Yes. Are there doctors who make wrong conclusions? Yes. Are there doctors who make wrong diagnoses and prescribe wrong medications and get things wrong and patients die according to their miscalculations? Yes. Actually, death from medical misdiagnosis is one of the leading causes of death in America. 250,000 people a year die from misdiagnoses. So tell me again how a piece of paper and a title mean that you are an epistemological giant and without contestation on any topic. You're not. What you have, that little piece of paper, what that indicates is you have given yourself to discipline and study of a specific kind on a specific topic with specific materials. And given that, you have more access to more information about said things, which means if you use the correct logic and reason, you prioritize the information correctly, that you should come to more precise diagnoses and you should come to more precise knowledge about the subject of the human body. That does not mean that your word is gospel. You have to write your words down. And as soon as you write your words down to express it to someone else, to take that knowledge from inside your brain, from your filter, put it on a piece of paper and express it so that you can transfer that knowledge from your brain so others can understand and comprehend it so they can use it for their own lives. And the moment that you do that, the moment that you transfer that information over, the rules of reason, grammar, and linguistics are going to determine whether you know what you're talking about. Or you might know something, but you don't know how to express it correctly. You may be saying things that are incorrect. You may be expressing it incorrectly. You may actually have an incorrect epistemological methodology the way that you put things together, and you may prioritize the information incorrectly and come to a wrong conclusion. That's why we get second opinions from doctors and physicians. And what about biologists who disagree? Which biologist gets to be the triumphant biologist when biologists disagree? They both have the exact same qualifications. They both have the exact same schooling. They both have the exact same information. They both have the exact same amount of time to determine this thing, and they come to different conclusions. Who trumps who? And why? Which one has knowledge and which one has misinformation? You see, you cannot appeal to authority and say, listen to the experts, because the experts are not always right, because they're experts on access to the information. They're experts on time spent contemplating said information. It's never indicated that they are experts on epistemological transfer of said knowledge. Now, what does that mean? It is never indicated that just because these people have time and experience that they know how to think and that they know how to communicate what they're thinking, or that what they're thinking and communicating is correct. Sorry, it takes an epistemologist. It takes someone who knows logic, who knows reason, who knows philosophy, who actually knows how to comprehend grammatically, linguistically, and understands language and the forms of communication to determine whether what the expert put down to transfer is actually worth being transferred. Expert doesn't mean that what you say goes. Expert means that you have a sneak peek, or you have access to more information which the layperson may not have, which could help you come to a more precise conclusion. But if you are not trained in how to think clearly and how to express that through communication and precise language, then no, experts don't know more than the layperson. And guess what? As soon as the doctor or the biologist transfers that information to the layperson now has that information. So now the layperson, using the methodology of reason and logic, can therefore infer similar conclusions to the biologist, even though they didn't spend 30 years of their life doing it. You've given them information, they have the tools. See, epistemology is all about having the right tools and knowing how to use the tools correctly with the correct information. All right? It's not about the title. It's not about the accolades. It's not about the quote unquote expertise. It is about, do you know how to think? Do you know how to think well? And can you take any bits of information and prioritize them and use them precisely to come to correct conclusions? Wes, you're not a medical doctor. No, but as soon as that medical doctor gives me the diagnosis, gives me the information, and tells me how he came about it, I can check his reasoning. I can check his conclusions with the laws of communication and language to see whether his thinking is clear and to see whether I want to follow his quote unquote medical advice. They're called medical practices. They give you medical advice. Experts give you their advice. Once they transfer the information, once something is written down, their expertise stops. Now the expertise of the linguistical person, of the grammarian, of the epistemologist, now those are the expertise that are needed. You see, science, math, medicine, history, all of these expertise that we have, all these knowledge bases hinge and cannot exist without language and communication. So before you become an expert in a field, you need to be an expert in language and communication. In epistemology, you need to know what knowledge is, how to acquire it, and how to transfer it to others. Just because you go out, you cannot take that for granted. You cannot take linguistical skills and language skills for granted and think, I'm an expert, and so what I say goes. Nonsense is still nonsense, even when smart people say it. John Lennox, one of my favorite quotes from John Lennox, nonsense is still nonsense, even when smart people say it. I don't know what a woman is, I'm not a biologist, is a nonsense phrase. Because, here's the thing, Supreme Court Justice Brown has, from the time that she was a child, been raised and been taught and thought and even written documents and put down female. And she's even called herself a woman. She has lived her entire life in the identity of, in the biological, physical appearance of a woman. And yet, in court, she's going to say, I'm not a biologist. I don't have a piece of paper saying I have the credentials to do this. No, but you know, in language and communication, how to take information, the clues in front of you, how to logically put them together epistemologically in your mind and infer the best explanation, taking all the qualities, taking all the information that you have around the world around you, and you can infer what a woman is without having a piece of paper from a university. It is nonsense to say that only biologists know what a woman is. It's even more nonsense to say only women know what women are. It's equally nonsense. That is a nonsensical statement and it means nothing. It's a referential incoherency. It's a referential it references itself without giving a definition. Only women know what women are is a nonsense statement that where no information was transferred. There was no transferal of any knowledge of any kind. It was a looped sentence that meant nothing. Only women know what women are is a logical fallacy. There is no truth in coming from that because you have not expressed what a woman is. What is a woman? It's what women say they are. But first of all, says who? Who says that that is right? Who says that that is correct? Who says that that can even be correct? Why is that statement true? And it's going to be because a woman said it. Appeal to authority. Women are the authority over things of women. Then how can a woman turn around and say that a man is a part of the patriarchy or that a man is toxic? Only men know what men are, right? No. We transfer over. That's another topic for another time. But if we take this seriously and you want to know how to know something, you must first become a master of your own mind. You must first become a master of how to deconstruct arguments, how to reconstruct arguments, how to find fallacious and fallacies in your arguments, and how to prioritize the information correctly so you come to conclusions that are transfers of information that are helpful and not referential incoherencies of vapid nonsense. Just because you have a piece of paper doesn't mean you get to tell me what something is. I have great reading comprehension. I have great linguistical skills. I have great reasoning skills. And so if you give me the information, then guess what? I can make my own conclusion. I'm going to give you a quick example. The vaccine that went on. All the medical experts were saying that everyone needed to get this vaccine because this vaccine stopped the transmission of the virus. And I told people, not on social media, not on Instagram, I told people, doesn't stop the transmission of the virus. Oh, well, medical doctors say it does. Medical doctors say that that's exactly what it does. Fauci, the president, the vice president, the CDC, everybody, the WHO, they all said it stopped transmission of the virus. But you see, I have reading comprehension skills. And once you put something down in writing, I can then check to see whether what you're saying is the truth, because I have methodologies where I can apply logic and reason to this. I can apply grammar to this, grammar rules and rules of grammar and linguistics to this. I have methodology to test whether what you're saying is true or not, because truth does not lie in a person. Truth transcends us, because we are pointing to things outside of ourselves. If we're pointing to things outside of ourselves, we cannot be the source of truth ourselves, because the thing that we're talking about is not us. The thing we're talking about transcends us. Therefore, it cannot be self-referential. It cannot be referenced by me saying, oh, I'm the doctor who came up with this. And if I'm the doctor who came up with this, then therefore it is what I say it is. I am that I am. That sentence means nothing. Who are you, Wes? I am that I am. That is a nonsense sentence, and it doesn't mean anything. If you go back and you look at the Moderna and the Pfizer inserts, if you go back and you look at the information that they released when they released the vaccine, and you go through and you read it and you look at transmissibility, you will find what it says in unless they've erased this, because when it first came out, I went and read it. There's also an article in the Atlantic, I think in the Washington Post, even in the New York Times, where they talk about this. It was known early on from Pfizer and Moderna that the COVID-19 vaccine did not stop transmission of the virus. It did not stop transmission of the virus. Wes, how do you know? Because the document itself says this vaccine will not stop transmission of the virus. It is a COVID-19 vaccine. Do you know what COVID-19? So I went through and I read all this. COVID-19, do you know what that is? COVID-19 are the symptoms that you get if you've contracted the virus. COVID-19 is a word that is an indication. It's a symbology for the symptoms. It is, oh, you have COVID-19, you have the symptoms that you get when you get the virus. So you have the virus, and what your body exhibits are the symptoms, and that is called COVID-19. The vaccine was a vaccine to lessen the symptoms, to lessen your experience with COVID-19. That is the symptomatic process of the virus being inside your body. If the vaccine was to be a vaccine that stopped transmission of the virus, it would have been a SARS-CoV-2 vaccine, because SARS-CoV-2 is the actual virus. And you say, well, Wes, that's not what the doctor said. That's not what Fauci said. I know, but that's what Moderna and Pfizer said. That's what the doctors who created the vaccine said. And so there is a contradictory thing going on between experts. Come to find out, so who's telling the truth? Come to find out, oh, it never stopped transmission. It was never meant to stop transmission. WHO and Fauci and all them, they now agree that it does not stop transmission. But if you had reading comprehension, you could have known that from the very beginning. And so here's the reason why that we're saying all this, because I am not going to believe an expert because they say something that I cannot back up, that I cannot look at the information they're giving me, that I cannot run the rules of grammar, I cannot run the rules of syntax and linguistics, and I cannot run the rules of logic and see if I can come to a similar conclusion. If I can come to a similar conclusion, then I can go, oh, I have confidence that the information this person is transferring to me is quite possibly more true than not. I can infer that there's more truth in this than there is not. But when I have experts saying, no, it stops transmission, you have to get it because as soon as you get it, it's going to stop transmission. We're going to reach herd immunity, and you're doing your part and you're saving your grandmother. And yet I have other doctors and I have other experts in that field saying this will not stop transmission. And they're the ones who created it because it was never meant to. It was never created to stop transmission. It was only created to lessen the symptoms. I don't have confidence in Fauci going nationally and saying it stops transmission because I have contradictory information. So I don't have confidence, therefore. And so if you want to know why people like me are skeptical, it's because we are given information and then we're given conclusions that cannot logically be derived from the information or situation in which we're presented. I cannot fully back and have confidence in philosophies, in ideas, in political rhetoric, wherein the information I'm given and the conclusion I'm given cannot be derived from that information. A woman is what a woman says it is. Only women know what women are. I cannot have confidence to go, yeah, that's true, because the information you've given me and the conclusion you've given me cannot be logically derived. There is no logical truth in that statement. It's an incoherent statement. It means nothing. You've said nothing. And if you said nothing, you can't expect me to go, oh, that's something. It's the emperor has no clothes. I'm not going to say, well, that's a lovely suit you have there, when you're wearing nothing. Only women know what women are is a vapid, useless statement. It means nothing. It's supposed to sound smart, but it's not. It's nonsense. And I will not back nonsense because someone who's an expert says I need to back nonsense. Or you should believe it because you should have compassion. I'm sorry, but me believing a nonsense statement so I don't hurt someone's feelings is not compassion. Compassion is looking at someone and saying, that's not right. Because if you believe, here's the thing, if you go around believing things that aren't right and you try to twist the fabric of reality to fit your philosophies or your ideas because you think the world is this way and the world is not, I am doing you no favors. Excuse me. I am doing you no favors by continuing to let you walk down a path to which I know will end in suffering and misery. Well, how do you know it's going to end in suffering and misery? Because your belief system is being fundamentally grounded by philosophies and thoughts that are nonsense, that have no foundation and cannot be true. Only women know what women are is a statement that cannot bear truth. It is impossible. Why, Wes? Because you haven't defined what a woman is. You haven't defined the terms, and you're just saying words that could have any meaning. Point in fact, when you ask, well, what is a woman to you? A woman means whatever I want it to mean. That's the other statement you get. A woman means whatever I want it to mean. Dear God, you have jumped off a cliff and you've said, gravity is only what I want gravity to be. Gravity is only the thing to which I want gravity to be. And if I don't stop somebody from jumping over the edge and going, that's nonsense, it's actually more compassionate for me to going, that's nonsense, stop it, than it is for me to go, oh, that's what you believe? Okay, that's perfect. Yes, no, there is no gravity. Yeah, run full speed. Do the Wile E. Coyote thing and go full speed. No. That's the difference. You say, well, it's compassionate. What do you mean by compassion? That means not hurting people's feelings. That's not compassion. That's enabling. It's not compassion. See, we have to have specificity of terms. We have to have precision of language, or we're going to create a reality that not only is untenable, which means it can't be defended. We're going to create reality that is unlivable. And if we create realities that are unlivable, then we won't be able to thrive. And if we don't thrive, we won't be able to have a society. And you see how just putting these things into your epistemology very quickly decay reason. And when reason is decayed, when your individual free-thinking reason is decayed, the only option is collectivism, hive mind, and drones. That's all there is. Listen to the experts. When the music plays, bow your knee to Nebuchadnezzar. Why? Doesn't matter. The music's playing. Bow your knee. Why? Doesn't matter. Bow your knee. Fauci said stops transmission. I understand Fauci said that, but Moderna and Pfizer said differently. No, you're canceled. The official statement is, you're not a doctor. Yeah, but I have reading comprehension. Yeah, but you don't have the piece of paper. So therefore, if you don't have that piece of paper, oh, guess what? Peter McCullough, you have that piece of paper. Oh, Robert Malone, you created the mRNA vaccine technology. Oh, guess what? You have the piece of paper, you have the qualifications, but you've said the wrong thing. You've come to the wrong conclusion. Therefore, now you're canceled. You're no longer experts. Well, why? Because the experts said you're no longer experts. Wait, what? Do you guys see how easily this thing falls apart? If we take appeal to authority to this direction, it becomes tyrannical. You see, because I'm not a doctor, but we have doctors out there. One, Robert Malone, who created the patents for the mRNA vaccines, right? He created the technology, and he said, that's not how the technology works. Don't get the vaccine. Something's wrong with it. Oh, he's no longer an expert. The guy who created the thing is no longer an expert on the thing. Why? Because another expert said he wasn't. Well, that doesn't make any sense, because you violated your rules of logic and reason, because you said appeal to authority. I'm appealing to authority, and you go, no, not that authority. Well, which authority? Which authorities then? All the authorities that these authorities say are authorities. Do you see how circular that is? That's nonsense. Only the authorities who the authorities say are the authorities are the authorities. Guys, we are spiraling out of control in a flat spin. And we have to eject, watch the canopy. We have to eject, and we have to get back to understanding how to navigate epistemologically this world. We have to reforge the tools of reason. We have to reforge the tools of logic, and we have to regain the understanding of how to think. How to think. Unless you enjoy being a drone. Unless you enjoy doing whatever the authorities tell you to do. That's our options. Either we live a messy life where we think and we have arguments and we have discussions and it's quote unquote the wild, wild west, or every time the music plays, you bend your knee and it doesn't matter why. Think about it. Go to www.unabashedlyresolute.com. Sign up for some classes. Do some one-on-ones. Free consultation. I can show you how to regain your reason and your logic so you don't have to walk around afraid anymore.